I'll take this one. The jacket hung smooth over my arm, deep navy wool, sharp lapels, clean lines. I'd been eyeing it for weeks, not because I needed it. Just to remind myself I could, the clerk barely glanced up. Blonde, early 20s, fake tan cracking near the edges of his temple. His name tag said Derek, but the smirk on his face said more than any label ever could. "That'll be $12.95, he said, reaching for the scanner like the fabric might burn him. I pulled out my wallet and slid the platinum card across the counter. He froze, one blink. Then two, his lip curled. "Sir, are you sure this isn't a borrowed card?" I didn't flinch. "My name is Miles Isaiah Carter. Same name on the card." "Same name on my ID? Want to see that too?" I said it without raising my voice. "No point. When you're black in a store like this, the volume doesn't matter. The barcode's already been printed across your skin." Derek tilted his head, exaggerated like he was trying to make sense of a riddle. "Platinum." "Huh," he muttered. "That's impressive." He leaned sideways, stage whispering to the other clerk, a girl chewing gum like it owed her money. "Man's got a platinum card." First time I've seen one used with cracked sneakers. The other clerk snorted. She didn't look at me. My stomach tightened, not in shock, not even in anger, just that old, familiar squeeze. Not again. "Not today." Derek ran the card through the reader, slow as molasses. Then paused. "I'll just call the manager to verify." "Store policy," he said, but the grin on his face said just for fun. I could feel the eyes, customers behind me. The security guard near the cologne display, watching but not seeing. Or maybe seeing exactly what they expected. Derek tapped something on the screen, then folded his arms. "We get a lot of card confusion here," he added. "You'd be surprised." I didn't look away. "No, I wouldn't," he blinked. The first sign of discomfort since I walked in, a shuffle behind me. He looked up and froze. I didn't turn around. I didn't need to. Her voice was glass, clear, smooth, ready to cut. "Is there a problem, Derek?" He went pale. Miss Carter." I didn't realize what? Her heels clicked as she moved closer. I could feel her presence like static, electric, and rising. Derek looked between me and her, jaw slack. "I was just verifying the transaction, standard policy." "No, you weren't." Her tone didn't rise, but it didn't need to. "You were profiling a customer in front of half the store." He sputtered. I didn't know he was my husband," she finished. "Why should that matter?" Silence. Even the gum-chewing girl had stopped. Derek glanced at me again like he wanted the ground to swallow him. "I didn't mean anything by it. I just didn't want to make a mistake." "You did," I said quietly. "And you made it with confidence." The manager shuffled over, tall, balding, tie half loose, already looking like he wanted to disappear. "Is everything okay here?" he asked, eyes darting to Leila. She didn't look at him. "You're going to refund the transaction," she said. "Then ring it again, properly, and you'll make sure Mr. Carter's name is on the store's internal guest list." "Permanently? Yes, of course," the manager mumbled. "Of course, Leila, Miss Carter." I turned to face her now. Her jaw was set calm. A calm born of 100 tiny battles like this. She looked at me, and her voice softened just enough for only me to hear. "Say the word, I'll fire him right now," I breathed in slow. "I don't need him fired," her brow arched slightly. "I need him to remember this moment every time he smirks at someone else like me." She nodded, once, sharp, understood. Derek's hands trembled slightly as he ran the transaction. His fingers barely touched the keyboard when he handed me the bag. He couldn't meet my eyes. "Thank you for shopping with us," he said. I smiled, not warm, not cruel. Just tired. I always do. "You'll want to apologize now?" Her voice didn't rise. It didn't have to. I felt the tension crack like glass in my chest the moment. Leila said it. Calm, precise, cold enough to freeze the air around us. Derek blinked like someone waking. Up from a bad dream, though we both knew he'd been wide awake the whole time. I didn't know. He stammered, hands twitching at his sides. I took a step forward. "You knew exactly what you were doing." "I was just following." "No, you weren't," I said. "You were performing. You were letting the audience know who you thought I was. The manager finally decided to remember he existed. He stepped forward, clearing his throat like someone coughing up excuses. "We follow protocol," Layla snapped her head toward him. "Protocol doesn't include public humiliation." He shut up. "Good. He should have stopped it 15 minutes ago." Derek's voice cracked. "I wasn't trying to humiliate anyone." "You called me brother," I said. Then you laughed behind my back. "That wasn't confusion. That was confidence." "You didn't mean for her to walk in?" "That's the only thing you regret." His eyes flicked to Lila again. I watched the color drain from his face. I didn't realize. I didn't know you two. We're married?" she finished. "So if I were a stranger, this would be fine." He said nothing. "Say it," I pushed. "You thought I was what? Stealing? Lying? Pretending?" "It's just people use stolen cards," I laughed. I couldn't help it. People or people like me? "I didn't say you didn't have to." Layla stepped between us, her jaw set. I could feel her pulse through the air. "Not fast, controlled, furious in silence." You looked at his skin before you looked at his ID. Derek swallowed. "That's not fair. You think fair has anything to do with this?" she asked. He looked to the manager for rescue. Nothing. That man was a statue now. "I didn't mean for it to escalate." Derek said, "It was just a reaction." Layla's voice dipped. Lower, sharper. "Then fix your reflexes." He went quiet. "You know what the worst part is?" I said. I expected it. From the moment I walked in, I counted the steps to this. Every time you hesitated, every look, I saw it coming. His mouth opened, but no sound came. "I'm not new to this. You didn't break me, but you exposed yourself. Do you want me fired?" he asked suddenly. "Is that what this is?" "No," I said. "I don't need you fired." He blinked. "I need you changed." Layla didn't look away from him. "You think this ends with you losing your job?" "You'll get rehired. At another boutique next week?" "This isn't about your paycheck. It's about your pattern." His hands were trembling now. I didn't think. "No," I said. "You didn't feel." Silence settled again. Not peaceful, heavy, shame thick in the room. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "Who are you saying that to?" I asked. "Me? Her, or your own reflection?" Lila turned to the manager. "I expect a formal review," she said. "Written apology." "Diversity training?" "Not the performative kind." "Of course," he muttered, not meeting my eyes. "Coward. Make sure your entire team knows who they're really serving." She added. I looked at Derek one last time. "I don't want revenge. I want memory. I want this moment to haunt your silence the next time someone else like me walks in." He didn't respond. We walked out without another word. I didn't look back. "Yo, you trending," Andre said, sliding his phone across the table. I didn't touch it. I didn't post anything. Nah, but someone else did. White lady in a green coat. Heard her say, "I couldn't believe it was happening in front of me, like it was a damn movie." I stared at the steam curling from my coffee. "She tagged the store too," he added. "Of course she did. You mad?" "No, I wasn't. Not really. Just hollow. Tired in places sleep couldn't reach." Andre leaned back in the booth, eyes squinting like he was trying to see something I wasn't showing. "So why you still walk into places like that?" I looked at him. He raised both eyebrows. "You ain't tired of proving yourself?" "Tired's not the word." "Then what is it?" I stirred the cup, watching the cream swirl like smoke. "Necessary." He let out a breath. "Still chasing dignity in rooms that don't want you?" "I'm not chasing anything. I walk in. I exist. That's enough to offend some people." He didn't say anything for a while. Just tapped the edge of the table with his knuckle. "Man, I don't get how you stay so calm." "It's not calm, it's exhaustion." He laughed, but there wasn't joy in it. "You always did carry it quiet. Doesn't mean it's light." My phone buzzed. I didn't even look at it. Andre glanced down. "That your wife?" "Yeah, you gonna read it?" I picked it up. "Lila, they're asking if you want to make a statement." "Your call. Let me guess," Andre said. "PR folks want a polished version of you. They want my pain in a bow, bite-sized, digestible. You gonna give it to M?" "I don't know," he nodded slowly. "You always been good with words. That's your curse." I didn't argue. He wasn't wrong. Another buzz. Unknown. Number dot, I answered. Miles? Simon's voice, sharp, fast, clear. Yeah, I'm here. You seen what's online? I have. You see the way they're twisting it already? Talking about maybe he misunderstood or protocol. Confusion. They're trying to walk it back before the ink's dry. I know. Then why haven't you said anything? I paused. Because everyone else already is. This ain't just about you, Miles. You know that, right? I know. You always say silence is a choice, so don't choose it now. Not. I'm measuring. Measure faster. She hung up. Andre raised an eyebrow again. Your sister? Yeah, she's right. I know. He looked out the window, like the street might offer answers I didn't have. You ever wonder if it's worth it? He asked. All of it? The speeches, the stares, the wait. Every day. And then I remember someone's watching. Who? Every black kid who learned to walk into a room quiet. Every woman who gets followed in aisles. Every man who smiles just enough to not look threatening. Andre shook his head. Heavy as hell, bro. It is. I picked up my phone again. Typed, deleted, paused, me, to Leela. I'll speak, but it's not going to be a statement. It's going to be a mirror, she replied a second later. Lila. Good, let them see what they built. Andre nodded toward the phone. You. Just drafted war? I smirked. Just a little. Something like that. He clapped once, soft. Remind them who you are. I'm not trying to remind them. He tilted his head. Then what? I'm trying to remind me. Thanks for coming, his voice shook. I didn't answer. The back office smelled like stale coffee and lemon cleaner, one of those spaces, designed to make uncomfortable meetings feel less sharp. It didn't work. I just wanted to say I didn't mean any disrespect. Stop. He froze. Just stop, I said again, slower this time. You laughed. You smirked. You performed me like I was a scene in a skit, and then you called me brother like the word would wash it. All clean. I didn't. You did. He opened his mouth, closed it. Tried again. I was nervous. You came in so calm, so confident, I thought you were testing me. Testing you? I leaned forward. So now confidence in a black man is a red flag? He looked down at his shoes. His leg bounced under the table. I didn't know who you were. You didn't need to know who I was. That's the point. He blinked fast. I thought I was doing my job. No, you were doing your training. There's a difference. He rubbed the back of his neck. Look, man, Miles, I've seen card fraud before, so have I. It wasn't about race. It always is when you pretend it's not. He sat back, exhaling like he'd been holding it in for years. I could feel it, the unraveling. My dad's going to kill me. I looked at him. He owns part of the franchise, he muttered. He's already on the phone with corporate. There it was. Not guilt. Not regret, panic. So this meeting, I said, isn't about me. I didn't say that. No, you didn't, but everything else did. He looked at the wall behind me. Couldn't keep eye contact. I'm not trying to excuse it. I messed up. Yeah, you did. I didn't expect this to blow up. That's the problem, I said. You expected silence. You expected me to take the hit and walk out. Maybe mumble to my wife on the way home. Maybe tell a friend, but not this. Not a mirror shoved in your face. He swallowed hard. I just wish I could take it back. You can't, but you can carry it. Carry what? I leaned forward. The look I gave you when you scanned my card. The crack in my voice when I said, it's mine. The silence between us when you chose suspicion over humanity. He flinched. You get to walk back out of here. You get to rebuild, rebrand, reapply. His voice dropped to a whisper. And you? I get remembered as a hashtag. He didn't speak. I stood. You asked for this meeting to make yourself feel better, to say you tried. But I'm not your priest. I don't offer absolution. He looked up, eyes glassy. Then what do you want from me? Nothing? He looked confused. I want you to want something from yourself. I walked out before he could respond. We appreciate you coming in today, one of them said. He didn't say my name. None of them had. Lila crossed her legs beside me. Her silence was sharper than a blade. Mine was loaded. We've reviewed the footage, another added. And, Obviously, this is not reflective of our brand's values. You said that last quarter, Layla said. Different employee. Different store? Same outcome? A third voice, measured and low. We're proposing a formal apology, a media statement, and a company-wide diversity training initiative. Training, I repeated. What kind? A 2-day anti-bias program with breakout sessions. I let the silence breathe. You're fixing a PR wound, I said, not the disease. One of the women cleared her throat. Mr. Carter, with respect, don't do that. Excuse me? Don't say with respect before saying something dismissive. We're not dismissing your experience. You're minimizing it, sanitizing it, turning it into a bullet point on a slide deck. We're doing what's feasible, another man said. What's comfortable, I corrected. You're doing what's comfortable. Look, he said, palms up, we're a business. We have to think about shareholders. Don't get racially profiled when they walk into your stores, Lila snapped. The table shifted, chairs creaked. Nobody looked at her directly. My phone buzzed. I flipped it. Simone's name blinked across the screen. I answered. You're on. Speaker, I said. I hope so, she said. Because I've been listening. And I'm done whispering. No one spoke. You want to wrap this in paperwork and call it resolution, Simone said. But your silence built the hallway he was humiliated in. This is a private. You don't get privacy after public racism. Another voice tried to cut in. She talked over it. Your people created the standard and now you're stunned it still bites. That's not helpful, someone mumbled. You want helpful? Simone said. Here's helpful. Stop offering apologies without accountability. I understand you're upset, one said. No, I said. She's awake. There's a difference. More silence. Do you want us to terminate the employee? The man in the center finally asked. No, I said. I want you to interrogate the system that trained him to smile while assuming I stole my own identity. We can't change history, but you repeat it. I looked around the table, suits, soft eyes, quiet hands. You built a brand on exclusivity, I said. Then act surprised when that exclusion becomes policy. Mr. Carter, don't apologize again unless it's going to cost. You something nobody moved. Silence is a language, I said. And you've spoken it fluently. I stood. We're done here. You got another one? Simone said, handing me her phone. I scrolled through the message. Thank you, Mr. Carter. I work at the Chicago store. What you did, it gave the rest of us air. Some of us are just trying to breathe. You made it easier. I read it twice. Maybe 3 times. They're coming in by the hour, she said. People are watching. I didn't ask them to. You didn't have to. I set the phone down. It buzzed almost immediately. Another notification. Listen to this, she said, pulling up a video. A teenage boy in a school hoodie stared into the camera, defiant. Y'all see what he did? That's what I call a silent lion. He ain't yell, he ain't cuss. But everybody heard him. I exhaled through my nose. I didn't know if I should be grateful or afraid of what. They were turning me into... Simone looked at me. You ever think it'd go this far? No. You scared? Yes. A pause. She waited. I knew that wait. It always meant more was coming. But I'm not running. The next sound was different. My personal voicemail. The message was grainy, old phone, thick breath. A voice soaked in hate. You people think you're untouchable now? Your little performance don't change who you are. Stay out of places you don't belong. Accidents happen. Simone didn't flinch. She tapped pause. Well, that escalated. Not? The first one, she raised an eyebrow. There's more? 7 this week. 3 blocked numbers. 2 burner emails. One guy told me I was articulate right before saying I set a bad example for the good ones. She crossed her arms. They're scared of your calm. That's why they scream. I looked down at the floor. They want me to erupt. But you won't? I can't, she nodded. No, you choose not to. That's different. I played the message again. Just once. Let the static ring in my ears. You remember when we were kids? I said. And I got stopped outside the library. With a backpack full of books? Simon's eyes softened. Yeah, you came home shaking? They asked me why a black kid needed so many. You said I'm building a house in my head. I smiled, faint. They didn't laugh. They don't now either. I stared. At the screen, the teen's video still paused. His eyes locked on mine. I don't want to be a symbol. You already are. Then let me be one with edges. She slid the phone toward me again. There's a girl from Detroit who said your name made her speak up to her boss. I blinked. What did she say? Simone grinned. She said, I pulled a Miles Carter. I let that sit in my chest. I didn't know if it was armor or a weight. Maybe both. Mr. Carter, do you wish to speak? I stood, my legs felt steady. My heart didn't race. I scanned the room, rows of folded arms, tight collars, polite stares, pretending not to hold judgment. I nodded once, no speech. The mic crackled. A cough echoed from the back. Just a question, I said. How many of you saw the video? Silence. Then one hand, another, then half the room. Then nearly all, even Derek's hand twitched before falling to his lap. I let it hang. You already heard me. I sat back down. The moderator shifted in her seat. Papers shuffled. Murmurs buzzed, nervous and soft, like flies trying not to land. No one said a word worth replying to. Later, outside the building, Lila caught up to me on the steps. You said what needed to be said, she murmured. I didn't say much. You didn't have to. I looked at her. She was watching me, not smiling, not soft. Something sharper. They needed a speech, I said. They needed reflection, she said. You gave them that. Derek passed behind us, eyes low. Shoulders small. He looked different, I muttered. She didn't turn. He looked seen, she said. That's enough for now. I don't know what this fixes. You're not healing for them, she said. You're healing in front of them, I exhaled. And that makes it feel heavy. It is, she said. But weight isn't always a punishment. I nodded. Slowly, quietly, we walked away from the building. The wind was colder than it should have been. Still, I didn't zip my coat. Let them feel the chill with me. Did you want to hit him? The question came from the back. A kid no older than 10, hoodie pulled tight around his ears. Eyes sharper than his voice. I didn't flinch. Yeah, I said. I did. A few of them laughed. Not mockingly. Just the kind of laugh you give when someone says something you're not used to hearing honestly. But, I continued, I wanted something more than that. What's more than a punch? Another asked. To be heard. They fell quiet. I sat on the edge of the old stage, palms resting on my thighs. When my dad was 16, I said, he got pulled off his bike by 2 officers. They told him. The bike looked too expensive. One of the boys whispered something to another. They pushed him down. He scraped his chin on the curb. They told him to run along. He didn't even cry. Did he fight back? The first kid asked. He knew if he did, he'd get more than a scraped chin. A girl raised her hand. So what did he do? He rode home and he didn't tell his mom, but he told me 20 years later. At the kitchen table, over cold coffee, they were all watching now. Still, that silence became part of him, I said. He carried it everywhere. In his posture, in his voice, in how careful he was when he walked into a store. I saw one of the older boys nod. He knew. That posture, sometimes the loudest pain, I said, is the kind you're trained to whisper. A girl near the front shifted in her seat. But you didn't whisper. No, I didn't. She leaned forward. Weren't you scared? Yes, another asked. Would you do it again? I already am. They went quiet again. But it wasn't an empty silence. It was full of something. Maybe recognition? Maybe wait. Lila stepped in from the hallway, notebook in hand. She gave me that half smile that meant she'd been listening. I walked over. She didn't speak right away. You good? I asked. I think so. She tapped the notebook. They're going to publish it. The whole thing? Everything. You let me write. I looked at the kids still sitting in the room. They were laughing now, low and free, not at me, just because that's what kids do when truth has loosened something inside them. You didn't just survive it, she said. You wrote over it. I nodded. Then whispered, mostly to myself. I walked out of the fire, not burned, but branded by truth.